It was 9 days in Vegas. We got stuck in the desert, and we had a little hangover remix out there, man.
I wore a wig to school once, and they said no headgear was allowed.
How did
spider web
was it
tights.
Obvious that it was a wig?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was having
a terrible
fun.
wig.
See, this is exactly why we have them on the show, and this is what makes them fun.
You're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
KXVS LP Stockton.
This broadcast will start in 60 seconds. This broadcast will start in 45 seconds. This broadcast will start in 30 seconds. This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS The Voice of Stockton or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Hey everyone, this is Laura Garcia, founder of Terra Coffee Roasters, and you are listening to Challenge Mode on KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
It's time for Challenge Mode, and here's your host, Ben Sanchez.
Hey Dustin, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for being here for the show.
No problem.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you don't know, Challenge Mode is the entrepreneur show on KXVS, the only entrepreneur show where we highlight a lot of people, local people from the Central Valley, and we follow their story and we get an idea of how they came to Stockton or if they're local and how they built their brand. So we have all kinds of people. We do this once a week, of course, usually Wednesday night. Today is a special edition of our show because we have somebody that's pretty awesome that's doing a lot of cool stuff in our community. So he's a hard guy to get a hold of, to get in, and so we kind of were flexible with it, and we got him in on today's show, Thursday. Welcome, Dr. Chris Schlanger.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in. And it's interesting how I met Dr. Chris. My cousin goes to you, and so she recommended seeing you because I started having some lower back pain. At some point last year, because I saw you last year. I think it was August when I started with you, and it was something that I wasn't really familiar with. So talking to you and coming to your office and talking to your staff about chiropractic care, because Dr. Schlanger is focused on his business with Dr. Casares as chiropractors. I don't think I mentioned it, but now you know they're chiropractors, and it's I think you're one of the top chiropractors in the Central Valley, right?
I certainly try to be,
yeah. And so I kind of went on this journey with you, and really it's been super educational for health, and I just want to thank you for all your advice and all your help. You've been you're like my you should be just my primary doctor, because I feel like I ask you all kinds of stuff beyond chiropractic care, but it all really is connected, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, one of the things with chiropractic we try to focus on is wellness or prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the medical community is so busy putting out fires that they don't really have the time or the training to necessarily do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to be more of the let's catch it before it turns into a bad problem if we can. So let's look at your overall health. And one of the key tenets of chiropractic, of course, is just not just fixing your spine problems, but making sure your entire body is in balance.
Right.
So making sure all those components are working.
Mm-hmm. And, before we get into your story with Dr. Chris, of course, every guest that we have come on the show, I kind of like to ask them their thoughts on an entrepreneur. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about one, and why is that so important in our community?
Well, I think the biggest thing for entrepreneurs is that you're not just trying to create a business that only benefits you, right? You're trying to meet a need of the community, whatever that need may be. So you may be doing a restaurant that's maybe a new concept that people are interested in a particular type of food, but you're trying to fill a need that we have for whatever community that you're in. The other thing I think is important is that it's not just about the owner getting profit. It's also about you're creating jobs, right? So where else are these people going to work if they don't have somewhere to go? So one of the things, not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, or not everybody's ready to be an entrepreneur. So, those people need some place to work, and so providing a business where people can work is important, right? That's what keeps the unemployment rate down.
Yeah, so. Right, and that's absolutely. That's one thing that we try and push here is economic growth, right?
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Stockton. Or anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And because you yourself really are an entrepreneur, in the business, and you're doing like some really cool stuff in the business. So maybe tell us the people kind of your backstory. And
sure. So I graduated from San Diego State with a Bachelor of Science, or Bachelor of Associates, or Bachelor of whatever it was, BA in Economics. And then I went up to Western States Chiropractic College and got my chiropractic professional degree up there, and came down to Santa Cruz for about a year. My dad's a chiropractor, so I worked with him. And after I worked with him for about a year, I decided it was time to go out on my own and find a place to practice. And so never had any experience with Stockton, but I looked for something in the Central Valley. I did like the Central Valley. Two reasons, of course. The Central Valley I thought was underserved with chiropractic, so I thought I came here actually and visited and looked around at the different clinics, and I thought there was a need for some other type of work that could be done here, so I set up shop. Also, it's close to stuff. So the nice thing about Central Valley, it's not big. We have some flexibility, so we can you get to work without having a half an hour in traffic to go 5 miles like it is in Southern California or in the Bay Area. And it's close to the mountains, it's close to the bay if you need it, it's close to airport. So it's a really good location. So that's what got me to come over here. And then same thing, I was looking at the needs. What were the needs of the particular community here? And so I felt like there weren't just simply not enough chiropractors. If you do the math and you do the numbers, you go, well, there's a huge need for guys. There's still today. I mean, there's not. I really believe there's not enough of us in this particular town, and there's a lot of us. I don't know the exact number, but I look at the numbers and go, there's plenty for everybody. We got to get these people's spines healthy. So
right, and you have really, because we interviewed you at the Journal. I want to say it was earlier this year before they shut down. So you were like January. Yeah, you were kind of one of the tail end stories, and it's really cool to talk to you and talk to Dr. Casares and kind of get your stories. Because your dad was a chiropractor.
Yep.
And then you talked to me a little bit about kind of what really drove you in that direction with the accident, right?
Yeah,
and then of course your grandma too.
Yeah, so I'll give you the backstory of why I actually became a chiropractor all the way back. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, was actually injured in a car accident, and it was really unfortunate what they did. Typical approach that even still happens today in these type of injuries is they get injured. They think nothing about rehabilitation at all. All the community thinks about in general is let's do pills, okay, and let's try pills for her and see if that works. Of course, they give her temporary relief for pain, but it didn't actually solve the problem that she was having the pain from. So they go, well, we're doing medication that's oral. How about we go ahead and give you some medication right into the area? So let's do some injections, right? So do some cortisone or things like that. And so they did. Okay, well, that doesn't seem to be working. We'll do that for several months, and looks like that's not productive. So let's go ahead and do back surgery. I think we can fix your spine with surgery. So they went ahead and did one. Well, that wasn't successful. So we need to do another one. Led to another one. She had more than I'm willing to even tell you here, but it was embarrassing number that they had. done, and the only person who was better off was the surgeons and the hospitals and everybody else. She was worse off because of it and lived the last of her days in pain. So, long story short, my dad got into chiropractic because he was in undergraduate school, and one of his friends actually had become a chiropractor, and goes, "Oh, you ought to check out chiropractic. It's one of these great professions," and da-da-da-da, and he come to find out, oh, they can help people with back pain, they fix people in car accidents.
Yeah.
And they go, wait a second. Well, you do all these really cool things. How come I never really heard of it? How come I don't know about this? And so come to find out, there was a very, very active campaign to try to keep the population away from chiropractors, and only by medical doctors.
Ah.
So my dad actually sent his, he actually had already got accepted to medical school, and sent his, the school a notice saying, I'm no longer attending. I will be attending chiropractic college. Thank you for the offer, but I really want to work on people and get them rehab so they don't turn into grandma. So then at 17, I get in a car accident, and for the first time I ever had any pain or problems, I experienced back pain, neck pain, everything.
Yeah. Because you were an athlete too, right?
Yeah, I played tennis. Yeah, I was playing competitive tennis and baseball, and at that point, just competitive tennis. And so my dad had become a chiropractor at that point, thank goodness, and I was able to go to him and get rehabbed and get fixed up and understand the whole concept. So I was very grateful, because as I look back, had he gone to medical school, I mean, he'd been accepted, was going.
It would have been a different path, right?
Yeah, because back in, we're talking, this is like back in the early 90s. It still wasn't as popular as it is today, so he would probably, as a medical doctor, would not have referred. I would have been hurt and just taking pills, and probably still have spine problems today. So I actually still get worked on, and Dr. Casadas, who works with me, is my main chiropractor currently, who does all the work. Yeah. Yeah,
and that's really, see, when I was experiencing the pain that I had, because I had lower back pain, and I hadn't really experienced that before, and then I was just having a problem sitting for long periods of time. It started to hurt. And my primary doctor, actually, he didn't recommend you. He just said, maybe you should go to a chiropractor.
Yeah,
and
maybe try, right?
And he gave me a flyer, and I was like, well, that's different, because I've bounced around from a couple of doctors in that year. And so I stuck with Dr. Yao, and that was like first time I talked to him. And he's I'm experiencing this and this and this. He's like, yeah, maybe you should go to a chiropractor. And then, of course, that's when I talked to my cousin, and here we are, almost a year later. We're getting close to a year here with you.
That's fantastic.
And we've definitely seen a lot of improvement. And this is a great segue to talk more about chiropractic care, because a lot of people out there have these different thoughts about what they think it is or what you guys are doing, and a lot of negativity, right?
Sure.
And it's really, you guys are doing a lot to fight this incredible stigma of, oh, it's not the greatest, right?
Yeah.
And you guys give really cool classes too, so maybe you guys, or maybe you want to talk about what you and Dr. Casares are doing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of healthcare in general is, I would say, is built around a belief system and not what's best or what's scientific. So you'll hear often, even out of professionals' mouths, is, I don't know if I believe that works or whatever. And it's really like, well, it doesn't matter what you believe, it's scientific. So whatever you're doing should be based upon science, not your own opinion, right? At least the best that you possibly can. So one of the things we do at our office is try to make sure that there is a good educational program. So we do the weekly classes at
in English and Spanish.
Yes, in English and Spanish. We do try to serve the entire community. San Joaquin County. I do speak Spanish, and so does Dr. Quesada. So we're able to address those. But we do classes on Thursday nights. We will take one off a month or whatever, but we try to get those classes out so we can really dispel the. It's not so much I would say. It's more like. There's just beliefs.
Misinformation.
Yeah, misinformation. And
like
people tend to form beliefs versus actually looking for the information. So one of the things that we talk about in the class is we try to focus on, what are our core strengths that we do at our office. And the core strengths that we have are primarily going to be in the nutritional side. So we're really good on the nutrition, getting you guys eating the right foods, make sure people are taking supplements that need to be taken. Other than the other side, which is the most important thing we do, is what we call correct alignment problems. So in chiropractic, it's often referred to as subluxation. That's the main term we use. But for people that aren't familiar with that term, it's the bones can be misaligned. So common example that would be scoliosis. So one of the things that people have is a curvature of the spine to the side, right? If you're looking from the back, they would have maybe an S curve or whatever, and that scoliosis can be corrected in a lot of cases, especially if we get to them early enough. But the other thing we do, of course, is fix the function or the movement of the joint. So those two things are important, because if we don't have a proper alignment of the joint or proper movement, the joint starts to break down. The actual spinal joints themselves will break down. They'll form changes, and they're not positive changes. They'll form degenerative changes. So the cartilage will thin. You'll get inflammation. You'll get swelling. You'll get nerve pinches. They get muscle spasm, tightness, pain sometimes, not always. A lot of patients come and say, you know, I'm not having any pain. I'm having a symptom down my leg.
Right, yeah.
It's tingling, or maybe it's weakness or whatever. So it's not necessarily back pain or neck pain. Maybe it's a headache, or maybe it's another type of symptom that they have. But it could be related to the actual breakdown of the spinal joints.
Yeah, and these are classes that you guys give for free.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Absolutely. We just found that if you can't, the only way to really get that get things to be, I guess, misinformed is to inform them properly. And so to me it's a key component of our practice, a key component of what we do. And it's not just about getting results, it's also about getting the patient education so they know how to take care of themselves. Our goal for them is to rely less on us over time, not the other way around.
Right, because there's more in what you're doing than just, you know, adjusting the spine. Like you said, you know, you're giving the dietary advice and the supplements, and then other things. You know, you've got like the neck pump for. We have devices that you can use at home,
stretches, custom things.
And that was the thing too. Is, you know, I wasn't. I was more active than I am now, but. You know, I really didn't notice the importance of stretching, right? And you really emphasized this, and now I'm like, you know, still got to just do more self-discipline, but at least stretching once a day, as I was doing more now than what I wasn't. I wasn't stretching at all, right?
Stretching, exercises, they're all important. Keeping those joints mobile, because the joints that are not moving or not functioning properly are going to be dying joints. So keeping them flexible is part of the keeping a natural function. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so of course with your background as you know, an athletic background too. Now I know Dr. Casares has he does more athletes. When you found him, right? He was he was on his own. He was really interested in athletics. I think that's one of the things that maybe drew him to me, and vice versa, me to him, as working together. But we both had a shared interest in both watching sports, but also we want to be involved as much as we possibly can. So he was out doing all kinds of sporting events already. He's a certified sports chiropractor, which is an extra diploma, not extra diploma. It's an extra program kind of.
Extra program. Yeah, he's put several hundred hours into that program on top of annual things he has to do to keep up that certificate. He does. He's doing a great job. He was with some of the games that like the Olympic games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
that's
not
right.
the national one, our U.S. team or anything, but he's out there doing that. And then of course I was working with the hockey team. At the time it was the Stockton Thunder. Now it's the Heat. Stockton Heat. So shout out to those guys. And then also I'm a big supporter of the University of the Pacific Athletics Department. I was actually a scholarship athlete in college, so it's one of my ways of giving back is giving back to the communities. Both financially we support them, but also we do also work on their athletes.
Right. So now let's talk about that too, because as you're coming here and you're looking in the Central Valley, and you know this place is underserved, and let's talk about kind of how you started, like when you picked Stockton, and like where were you at before? Because you weren't always on over there on Pershing, right?
No, actually I was on March Lane, so I started at March Lane, West March Lane, and then I moved over. I was there for about 2-3 years. Once I moved over, I moved over to I moved over to West Lane, so I was over there for several years. So you do the math, I must have been there for about 9 years or so, maybe 8-9 years. And then I'm at my current location. I think I've been there now almost 3 years.
3 years? Okay. So like 2015-ish?
Yeah, I think it's about right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then, so when you're going about and starting a bit, what was like the hardest part for you when you were looking for, to do work, to start
finding
practicing?
a place to start. So actually had found a practice that was the practitioner had passed away. So they had an open space, they had tables and everything there. So I was able to go into that and basically start up from scratch. There's really no patients left at that point
Mm-hmm.
that were active, but at least I had a place to practice and tables and
Mm-hmm.
and everything able to work on. So I had a few therapy equipment. Everything was old. Everything was a mess. But
Mm-hmm.
I was able to go in and start up and get things going. But I think the first week I had one patient, so
Yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah, and now look, over that period of time, how long from when you started here up to now? Like, how long have you been practicing in Stockton?
I've been practicing since 2003, February.
Wow.
So yeah, February 1st, more or less, 2003. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it's been 15 plus
Mhm.
years. So this is
Yeah.
my 16th year in town. So.
Yeah. So how did you come across getting those connections with the Stockton Heat and with UOP?
So what had happened was I'd put some time in with the University of Pacific. I volunteered my time and went down there and talked to the lead athletic trainer, Chris Pond, and they had known that I was a supporter. I was also a financial supporter at that point. We donate annually, and so I said, hey, I'm available anything you need, so please let me know. And they're like, well, okay, we kind of use chiropractors, not that much at that point. We have another guy that they were using for a time. Anyway, that guy that they were using actually passed away, and they hadn't actually called me up after that guy had passed away. What actually happened was a hockey team called me up and said, hey, our normal guy that we use, he passed away a little bit ago, so we really need someone down. Our players are begging, so can you come down here? Your name was given to us by the University of Pacific Athletics Department. And I go, oh, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. So I went down there, and we were basically mid-season, and so I jumped in and did the best I could to help them out with their players. That was fun. So, and then, of course, the Stockton Thunder said, well, okay, here's the information for all of our athletic people. So I was on the list when the Heat came around.
Yeah.
And so I've been with them ever since. And,
and that was like, what, that's 2000?
I want to say that was about, was that 3 years ago? 4 years ago they've been here? Something like that.
Yeah, I want to say it was.
And I was with the Thunder for a couple years before that,
Yeah.
I think. 2 or 3 years before that. So, and then of course the University of Pacific called me up with their needs as well, pretty much shortly after that. So basically someone was kind of doing the work, but then passed, so I was able to take over for him essentially. So
yeah, but it all started with you being a part of the community, right? Being a volunteer.
I just jumped in there and said, hey, if he's not busy or if he's busy, I'll help out any way that you guys could. If you need extra help, and you have several hundred athletes there, so there's more than enough to go around. So that's me and Dr. Casadas. It's great. There's two of us, so we can disperse and we can be where we need to be, and but also we're close. We're our office is on Pershing, so we're maybe a mile away from the university.
Right,
so
you're not too far.
Players get there really easily, and of course most of the hockey players live really close as well. So
that's
they're
good.
They're able to come in
and then that's also a good thing to talk about too. Is you and Dr. Casares are doing stuff together, and like I remember when I first started talking with you, that's kind of uncommon in the field, right?
Yeah, it's more common to be solo. So if you look at the statistics there, I want to say it's well over half are solo practice, and then there's odds and ends there. But I actually had a few associates here and there over the years, and I was almost kind of done doing the associate model, which is you hire another chiropractor to come and help you out. But I basically just wanted to wait till I got the right fit. So he's been I think not just a personality fit, but also he's good at what he does. So he's a very, very good practitioner. So that helps as well. So it's not just that he's nice to be around and getting a good employee, but also he's a very, very competent. But so what actually had happened was his brother was a patient of mine years ago.
Oh, okay.
So he was able to learn about chiropractic from knowing about his brother, and so he had his own experience with chiropractic as well. So when he got out of chiropractic college, he was excited about chiropractic, wanted to go, wanted to help, wanted to get the relief that he got from chiropractic. So he's the same kind of thing. He has his own story. So then he comes back into town and is looking for a place to practice. And one of the places he knows is my practice from his brother, of course.
Yeah.
And so he looks me up and goes, hey, I want to come to Stockton. Do you have any room in your office for another guy? And I go, yeah, sure, yeah, let's talk first and see if you really want to do this, and see if we fit, and tell them about the sports and everything else. And so it worked out that we're both working on the same concepts, which is good.
Yeah, and that's and why do you think that it's uncommon? Like, do you feel, well, I guess maybe, do you feel more chiropractors should be working together?
I feel like we all should. If you look at, the best example I could give you of similar type of practice is orthopedic surgeons. There is only 2 groups in town. Well, if you count Sutter or you count Kaiser, there'd be 3, but there's only 2 groups. So it's Alpine Orthopedic or the Sutter Orthopedic. And those are the only 2 orthopedic groups in town. There are no solo practitioners in orthopedics. Now, there's some reasons why they do it. A lot of it has to do with coverage and things like that. So if someone is injured at the hospital, they need an orthopedic surgeon to come down. You can't be on call every single night of every single day. Right. So one of the things they do is they do bulk up to help with those trauma cases and things like that. But the other reason why they get together is because you can share office space, you can share overhead, you can share advertising, you can share a lot of things that you don't need to compete. It really is no competition. It's just in your head if you think there's that the profession would be competitive at any point. So collaboration is always better than competition for that regard. But for us, it works because we don't have to have extra equipment. We can use the same equipment. We can use the same office space. We can use the same letterhead. We can use the same. There's a lot of things in business that you have to create. But if you don't have to create it, you don't have to have it, or you can share it. You can make more profit that way. So I think with 2 guys in the same practice, or 3 or 4. There's a lot of benefits there. Obviously, there's a lot of issues that comes down to how much money each person gets, but but I think if you have a clever system of everybody's on the same page, but the guy that obviously works more hours and sees more patients should obviously be compensated more than the other ones. But
and I think that's great because it's it shows like a collaboration, which is kind of uncommon. Kind of overall, right? Overall. You see a lot of people just kind of doing the Lone Ranger thing or not collaborating as much.
But overall, it's, benefits are everywhere. Like, for instance, I won't be able to be in the office coming up here on a Friday morning. I've got a funeral to attend, and it just happens to be a very important person, so I have to go. And if I didn't have that person to help cover my office in the morning, I'd be in trouble. So I have to reschedule everybody. It's really inconvenient for the patients that are looking forward to getting the care and had a scheduled appointment. So so I think there's just a lot of benefits. Obviously, there's downsides for certain things.
Of course,
I am gone, so it means more work for him.
Yeah. and yeah, I know.
But it's coming for him. He's going to have a time he's going to have to be gone, and I'm there for him. So,
And you guys have such a great staff, too. Maybe you want to talk about kind of how you've built up your staff to where it is now. All these people, the people that you have.
The staff has been great. I think a couple things. One is you have to make sure you're thinking about training these people. So whoever you get, you can't assume that they're going to know everything about everything. So you have to figure out, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, but also where's their education and what can you do to improve it. So invest in them, right?
Yeah.
Invest in and one of the things I try to do at the office is invest in the ones that are, let's be honest, the ones that are a little bit more helpful, the ones that are more useful.
Right.
I'm not saying don't spend time with those ones that aren't, but if she's interested or he's interested in being productive, why don't you work on those people that are more productive already and are already interested. So trying to keep around interested staff, people that are interested in that type of field. They're not just there just to work. They're there because they really want to help people. I felt that's the key. So you get the person interested and they'll work. You keep the person that doesn't necessarily care that much. Why invest time in them? Why invest effort in them? Why pay them? Just look for the next person.
Yeah.
And so we've done a pretty good job of that. So we've had people there for, like Ratana, for instance, she's been there for years. Sanders been there for years.
Yeah, I remember when
Cruz has been there for
years.
When
I talked to Sandra, she said she was like, oh yeah, I remember when he had this office over here when she started. I think that was your
the second office.
The second office, yeah.
So she'd been there since she started, I want to say, in 2006 or 2007. She took a little bit of a break. Actually, she had a break for a little while. Then she came back, several years back. So it's been great.
Yeah, and I think it's great because I feel like your office is so dynamic, right? Your staff speaks so many languages, right? Like it's so.
It's a kind of a mixture of we have Cambodian, so they speak Khmer, and then we have Spanish speaking. So me and Dr. Casadas, and we have several staff members that speak Spanish, but kind of reflective of the community we live in. Right. So Stockton is a very diverse background. So those are two languages that are obviously common around here.
Yeah,
Spanish, of course, being the most. But
right. How important is it to, you talked about this place being underserved, and how important is it that to keep pushing and keep getting out there, for the people?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, if you look around, there's a big population of people, but not necessarily a big population of doctors. So if you go to, let's say, San Francisco or some of these other big areas, you'll find there's just a lot more practitioners per area.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, when people get out of school, the first thing they think of isn't necessarily going to Stockton. They probably think of all these fantastic places they can go with their degree now.
Right.
And there's flexibility, right? So if you have a degree that's counts in all 50 states, well, then you can go work anywhere you want to. So a lot of people do pick all the fancy places, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So this is just not a place that people tend to think about that they want to spend their life working. But
you ran into that, right? A little bit, like before you found Dr. Casares, because you had a couple people that were coming in, right?
Yeah, I did, and they left. Yeah, one left after about a year and just said, I'm done, and went to Redding, or not Redding, went somewhere at Chico, maybe somewhere I wanted to go where it's really pretty and really nice. And yeah, I understand. I can understand completely. But you and other people want to go to those places, and so there tends to be less of a need in those areas and more of a need in Stockton, for sure. Stockton, Manteca, all these places need more, I think.
Yeah. And how is it when you're working with Stockton Heat and when you're working with UOP, how different is it working with an athlete versus like just the regular kind of person?
I would say we tend to see not so much these people are at the peak of their physical performance. So these people are pushing themselves to the edge. So a lot of what we're doing with those guys is tuning them up to just the nth degree. So getting them as perfect as they possibly can be. Whereas I would say the general population that we see is more they fell, they had a bad car accident, more of those type of injuries. We do see the hockey player that just got a concussion and neck injury from a bad hit or something, but I would say a lot of them, they're just trying to get performance enhancement. They're just trying to get that edge. They're trying to get a little bit more lined up, a little less sore in their muscle tissue. Yeah. So.
And is that's pretty common in sports today? Like more and more organizations are using chiropractors?
Yeah. For instance, every NFL team has a chiropractor that I'm aware of. All 32 teams do. Pretty much every hockey team does. Now, Canada does it a little bit differently up there. Some of those teams have what we call physiotherapists or physical therapists that also perform similar type of functions that chiropractors do. I know the Sharks have a chiropractor they work with. I know the Oakland Raiders do. San Francisco 49ers. I know those guys. Who those guys are. All the way down to the minor league programs usually do, except when you get down to lower levels, they usually don't anymore.
Okay.
So kind of this level is about where they keep all those guys around, but some of the lower level ones don't necessarily. But we're supposed to be the Kings in Stockton, the basketball team,
the G League.
Yeah,
guys,
we haven't signed the contract yet.
Okay,
but
so that's cool.
They're preparing the contract for us to sign,
that's
so we
very
can.
Cool.
We'll be there. We'll be the G League.
That's awesome.
G League chiropractors.
Yeah. Actually, no. Didn't I see a picture with you and Damon Stoudemire?
Oh yeah.
Recently?
So Damon Stoudemire. So yeah, he's a really big chiropractic fan. I can tell you a little quick story. It's a fun story. So
yeah,
he was telling me about when actually the very first time I met him, he said, "Just so you know, I don't think chiropractors get enough respect, like we talked about in the beginning,
right?
With what you guys do." So, but my story that he told us was that he had a back problem. He was playing in the league, had a back problem. He was going to the team guys. Wasn't a chiropractor at the time. I guess he said he was, I don't know, maybe an athletic trainer, physical therapist or whatever, but he felt like they weren't doing him any good. So someone he knew a chiropractor that was really good with athletes and sports stuff. And so he said he walked out of there after the first visit feeling incredibly better, whereas when he was doing all the team stuff, he said he wasn't getting anywhere.
Okay.
So he just said he was just blown away by it. Here they are doing this stuff for weeks and weeks and weeks. He's hurting. I mean, we're talking about a player who's at the top of his game. He's an NBA All-Star.
Yeah. And
he was unable to, play it like he wanted to without pain and function. So he was very pleased to have us as the University of Pacific chiropractors for his team, because he said, look, without that available, I don't know how I would have done it. It wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
So he's a huge chiropractic supporter. So he gets adjusted all the time. He's always been adjusted, always been worked on. And as a matter of fact, so he even told us that what they would do when they go on the road, they would actually bring their guy with them.
Oh, okay.
Not on the team dollar. They would fly their own doctor out, put him up in a hotel, and so they would travel on away games.
Wow.
The chiropractor would actually go with them, so he paid them, or the team paid it. Not the team.
Right, yeah, not the player, but the actual organization.
No.
Oh.
The actual players.
Oh, the players would pay.
Yeah,
them.
they said
Wow.
they didn't want to mess around with the team guys.
Oh, okay.
They just said, look, we got our guy. He's the best. The guy that he went in one visit and felt better. He said, we're gonna bring in that guy with us. So he said, basically, that's pretty common. These guys go on the road, and they'll actually bring them.
That's unusual.
Yeah, they'll actually bring their own guys. Yeah, and come to find out that it's really common. A lot of these guys will actually bring their own massage therapist, their own chiropractor. In the NBA, they have a lot of times they'll actually bring their own foot specialist that will be able to make sure their calluses are just right and everything's dialed in. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I'm still waiting for my phone call, but for the NBA. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is great because, I feel like all these opportunities are opening up for you. You had the UOP, and then I went to the Thunder before they, rebranded, and then now here we are with those two, and now you're going to start doing the G League, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So some of these guys, of course, will get the opportunity to play in the NBA, and we'll have some players that we will have worked on that are at the next level. And so we see that with the hockey team. So Calgary, a lot of players that used to be in our office are now playing up in Calgary for professional organizations. So it's pretty neat to see how they go from here in Stockton, and now they're, hey, I know that guy. I've got his autograph.
Yeah. How many people have come through, kind of like Damon, that have come to see you?
We've seen quite a few. The only one that I don't know that I've ever seen is, we've had PGA, we've had NBA, NFL, several NFL. NFL's a lot more players. We've had Major League Baseball players. As a matter of fact, one of our players was a former Yankee, and he's from Sonora, so he's a local guy from around here. Went to Delta College and actually got a ring with the Yankees. So
wow.
His name was Phil Koch. So
awesome.
Yeah, so he's been down at our office. And the only one we haven't really had is a Major League Soccer that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So I don't think I've ever worked with anybody that's played in the U.S. professionally
right.
or at a high level overseas. So that's the one major sport I would love to,
right, or not
have that. But we don't have a lot of that in Stockton or would be here for whatever reason.
There's none of that in the area.
Yeah, so I think that's our major sport. But yeah, quite a few. So you'd be surprised at how many of those people come through or live here or know people live here or for whatever reason are traveling through somehow. So,
right.
It's pretty interesting.
So how's a lot of that really kind of helped with maybe the marketing kind of side of things, like helping the business grow, obviously, with those?
Yeah, I would think from, if I were a patient and I was looking for a particular chiropractor, knowing that an organization such as the Heat or, an organization such as University of Pacific has gone through their procedures to look and verify and see who this guy is and know who they are, I'd feel a little more comfortable going to that office.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, I think patients probably would see that and would go, hey, if there's a choice between this one and this one, this one's got maybe a little bit more validation because he does.
Right. Yeah.
He does work on that, but I wouldn't say we necessarily get a direct benefit like they saw our. Because we sponsor things at the down at the University of Pacific where our name will be on a poster or whatever. I don't think I've ever had anybody call up and say, "Saw your name on a poster. I'm going to come down and see you."
Yeah.
Never seen that.
No.
But I would say it adds more credibility or validation to what we do.
Yeah. How often do you how are people finding you? Like, are they just probably finding you through the internet, or is it more of a grassroots kind of referral kind of thing going on with patients?
So we try to keep track as best we can but I would say the number one source of referrals would probably be just word of mouth. So other patients telling other people. We don't have a hospital situation where people get injured, they go to a hospital, and the hospital refers them out to the surgeon sees them at the hospital. No, we don't really see that. So we do see some of our medical colleagues, some medical professionals do refer us over to our clinic for they'll have back pain or neck pain. They'll go to see Dr. Schlinger, so he'll take care of that problem. We don't take care of it here. But number one is definitely patient referral. So patients telling other patients, and that's a big one for us. Yeah. Of course, the other means are there, right? We do have Google. We do have a Google search engine.
Right.
Stuff.
You do have some social
media.
You
have a website, www.painfree.
Yeah, painfreedoctor.com.
Yeah, painfreedr.com. We do have a Facebook page, so Premier Chiropractic Facebook page. I do have a personal one, of course, Christopher Schlinger, whatever, so you can look me up, and I'm on there. So we do have some
Yelp. I think you're on Yelp too, right?
Yeah, we do have. Yeah, I did go through and actually edit our page on Yelp, so we do have a Yelp page. We're not very active on that. But,
no. Mainly, most of your is just word of mouth, and then they come through on a phone call, right?
Or, and they'll say, I got a card from a friend, or I was at work and I saw one of your cards or flyers at work, or. I just got in a car accident. My friend and I told him about it, and he said, I saw you also for a car accident, so I'll refer that particular person down.
Yeah, and then you've got the classes too. So let's talk about these free kind of classes. What do you guys cover when people come in?
Sure.
And take them?
So we start off with just getting rid of the myths. So a lot of myths about chiropractic is just popping and cracking in the bones, and we kind of go into it's adjustment and realignment, and it affects the nervous system when things aren't lined up properly. So we go through all of the different components of chiropractic, and then we also talk about what kind of food do we eat, what kind of supplements you should or shouldn't be taking. We go through how to sleep, how to sit, how much exercise you should be getting. And what's currently people are doing for this type of medication, or what they're doing for that, and how we don't do that, and we do this, and so that way the person is, when they leave, hopefully they've learned at least one or two things that they can take with them and go, oh, I didn't know I'm not supposed to sleep with my stomach. I had no idea. So
yeah, that was a huge one too, and it's always hard too. I remember when I was first starting with you, trying to adjust that. Every once in a while I do find myself in that position, but
but it's
more
not
on the
like
side.
You're starting there.
Yeah, right. You're on the side, or you're on your back.
Yeah, and so one of the things with chiropractic is what you realize is that what you do is what you will become. So if you're, like for instance, sleeping with too many pillows, you can actually have your neck in a really bad position, and it'll help reshape it to a new position. You can change it. So same with how you're sitting. If you're sitting, 8 hours a day and you're on a telephone,
right,
you're looking into your cell phone, you're looking down. All of those things can change your alignment over time. So
yeah, so, and that's cool that you. So I know one of the things that you have besides the class is the consultation is free as well, and so people can come in, you can talk with them, kind of get an idea of where their spine's at. Yeah, and then
we like the consultation for free because a lot of people don't know if this is the right place for them. They just don't know, is this a particular condition that you can help? I don't want to spend an hour filling out paperwork and then doing a full exam and actually only to find out that I'm in the wrong place. So one of the things we try to do is look, well, at least talk to you, and let's just see if this is something that is you're in the right place. Right. So if you got a toenail problem, it's probably not our forte.
That's not gonna work.
We're gonna refer you. But we've caught some things that we thought were not in our territory, and we just refer them to the appropriate area. So there's occasional fractures we see, occasional dislocations we'll see in our office. We'll refer them to the right specialist and go, it doesn't look right. Let's go and send you over back to this place. Or, So, but the consultations are always free. So it's one of the things we try to keep as long as we can. So
and the other thing you do too is the X-rays, right? Because you were telling me kind of in chiropractic, there's some people that don't do that.
Yeah, I would say there's not what I would consider a standard of care. Standard of care right now seems to be going the other direction. Fewer and fewer X-rays. A lot of people are, what I would say, doing analysis of the spinal bones by hand or visual. The problem is that you can't see the spine very well in three-dimensional position without an X-ray. You can get an idea, but you can't get a really good sense for where those individual vertebrae are. So it's unfortunate. Yeah. So we actually use digital X-rays in our office, so the patient can leave with both a CD if they need it, or the actual X-rays on a piece of paper, and they'll actually get that little pamphlet on the second visit with all the information there, with every X-ray in there. We'll actually print out for them, and so they can have it, and they can circle the areas and whatnot. So so we try to make sure that they understand this is what we're looking at, this is what we're going to try to address, and not only that, how bad is it, how long has it been there, and how much work do we need to do. X-rays give you a really good concept of all of those things. So.
And not only do you do all this over there, of course you guys are located on Pershing and March, but you also you have massage therapy kind of too as well?
Yeah,
right?
we do. We have a full-time massage therapist that also helps. So I find that there are certain things that we just can't do, or we just don't have the time to do. So she's able to really take over for us and work on those particular areas. So she does all different types of massage work, which is great. And she's been with us for quite some time now as well, so it's been good having her. Yeah. So we have a dedicated room just for that. It's
right.
Really nice.
And you know, your facility is much bigger now, and I can only just see down the road it's just gonna get bigger.
I hope so.
What do you anticipate now that I feel like you're just constantly growing over every year. Like, you ever think about some of those things? Like, what am I gonna do?
The building that we're currently in, there is space to grow, so we can occupy the whole building if we need to. So the goal is, once Dr. Casadas reaches his max capacity or very close to it, then it's going to be time to look for the next chiropractor, hopefully, that either wants to join us with their own practice currently working, or maybe they're another young kid like Dr. Casadas was when he started, and we can then bring them in and train them up, or like I said, if they're just out there and they're wanting to downsize their office but move into our facility, those are, I think, a couple of really good options that we'll be able to have. So,
yeah.
So I'm excited that if it continues to grow, then we'll just grow with it. If it doesn't, then we're okay. But the goal is always growth. Yeah. Like I said, there's enough work for everybody, and there's enough work for all that. So yeah, I think we can get it to grow, and hopefully have 4 or 5 doctors in there would be great.
That would be very cool. Ideally, that's kind of the vision, right?
Yeah, that'd be great. And that would be good for everybody involved, because that would give patients a little more flexibility in their provider choice. So if they like our facility, they like everything, they can go with maybe we'll get a female physician or something, a female chiropractor in there as well. Maybe just some different options for patients when they come through. So I think it's nice to have 2, and maybe even nicer to have 3 or 4 different. Also gives every doctor more coverage. So if one doctor leaves, there's less patient load for the remaining doctors, right, than if it's just one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that's always
I mean, thanks for stopping by, Dr. Chris. I mean, it's always I see you, like every week. So it's kind of cool to get you in and talk about this.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Glad
to be here.
For the people that are thinking about this, or you have questions, concerns, and more information, Pain-Free Dr. Dr.
Yep. www.painfreedr.com.
Yeah, that's where you can find Dr. Chris. Of course, he is over there on Pershing and March. Premier Chiropractic is the spot, and congratulations on all the success, and now you're going to be working with the Stockton Kings, which is cool.
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah, a little basketball. So.
Yeah, so now I feel like you got a lot going on, and so it's nice. It'd be cool to get Dr. Casares in here at some point, and then he kind of will give his story and his side too.
Yeah, he's got a good story, so it'd be fun to have him down here.
So, and anywhere else they can. Now you have social. You're on Facebook, right?
Yes. So it's Premier Chiropractic, Stockton, California. Then our telephone number, so you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, and that's on Facebook. And then you don't have. That's your only social media. You don't have.
That's the big one. I do have a Twitter, but I'm not terribly active.
Yeah.
So it's
and no Instagram.
Dr. Schlinger, DrSchlinger is my Twitter.
There you go.
Then we do have an Instagram, it's Premier Chiropractic Stockton Instagram. So we just don't keep that one up as much as Facebook. Facebook's one we regularly update. That's where you saw Damon Stoudemire's picture, which is cool. Yeah, him at the office getting adjusted.
And so if you want to reach out to him, you can. Of course, we'll post all the information here in the description. So if you can't find it, we'll have all the links there. Dr. Chris, always a pleasure, man. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming on. And Dustin, what do you think?
Thanks, Dustin.
No problem, Ben. Sorry.
Thanks for being here and take us out, buddy.
Well, you've been listening and watching to Challenge Mode on KXVS. For more information on The Voice Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org. On the Miracle Mile, saying so long from KXVS.
Enough is enough for